Jay, I think we're ready to get started. What do you think?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, everybody, welcome today to our webinar. We're going to be talking about streamlining your e-commerce financial operations. Now, obviously, just as a quick intro, when you're thinking about your financial picture and you're thinking about overall in your finances, there's more than one segment or category that you need to think about. And one of them is, more of the accounting side, making sure that you have your financial visibility and you have your numbers in front of you. And the other hand is the financial operations side. And a lot of times those are thought about as two separate categories where, the financial operations are more related to just the everyday running of your business, managing your bills and, maybe creating invoices or managing your inventory and COGS and all of that and POs. And really, when you're looking at your financials, everything should be looked at as a big picture. Everything should think about how you can streamline everything to really be accessible in one place, to really be looking at giving you that information when you're looking at your business as, one big picture. And that's really what this integration with between Finaloop and Bill.com can really accomplish because it gives you all of that information synced into one place. So with that intro, I guess we'll start with a little bit of an introduction of both myself and with Jay. Um, I'm Rayla Rappaport. It's nice to meet all of you. I am the head of product marketing here at Finaloop. I spent about 12 years before joining Finaloop in PwC, so lots of time in accounting. And for the past almost 5 years, I've been with Finaloop, really focusing on just e-commerce, direct-to-consumer, wholesale, and multi-channel brands. So excited to be here with everybody today. Jay, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. My name's Jay. I'm a solutions consultant, solutions engineer here at Bill. Focus a lot too with our integrations with our accounting platforms here, like Finaloop. So looking forward to just talking about Bill and some of the automation tools that we bring to all of our accountants, right? And then how we're going to work with Finaloop as well. In regards to an agenda here, we'll discuss the two products, right? We will also kind of talk about roadmaps and latest product features. And then Rayla is going to take over and show that integration between the two solutions. So I'll pass it back to you, Rayla, to talk about Finaloop.
All right, fantastic. Well, I see that we have a nice collection here of a mix of people, some who are Finaloop customers and are here to maybe learn a little bit more about Bill.com, and some who are Bill.com customers and here to learn about Finaloop, and some who are hopefully happy customers of both. So for those of you who are not familiar with Finaloop and what we do, we are a real-time bookkeeping service for consumer brands. We cover, again, e-commerce, direct-to-consumer, wholesale and retail, multi-channel brands, you name it, anything within that vicinity we work with. And basically, we take care of the full accounting service for you. So we connect directly with your different apps that you use for your business, Shopify, Amazon, Walmart, your bank accounts and credit cards, or Bill.com account, maybe your payroll, whatever it is that you're using for your business. We sync the data directly from the sources of truth into our own accounting platform. So, we replace QuickBooks or whatever traditional accounting platform you're using. And we pull all of that data in order to give you fully reconciled financials. So you'll get real-time P&L, balance sheet, cash flow, all available within our software. And behind the scenes, we also have a team of actual accountants. So it's not just just a software with an automation. We have a team of actual accountants who are reviewing your information, there to give you unlimited support with any questions that you have, and really handling that full bookkeeping for you, obviously with, the input that we need from you that relates to the specifics of your business. So we really try to give it very customized, based on your business needs. Jay, you want to talk a little bit about Bill.com?
Sure. Yeah, great. So Bill, we offer accounts payable and accounts receivable services as well as spend and expense. Today, we're going to focus mostly around our accounts payable module, our accounts payable product, and that's where we started. We sort of invented the space of AP automation. We've been around for 20 years. We changed our name from Bill.com to just regular Bill. I still say Bill.com. It's totally appropriate. And the idea about our solution is we really want to make that process of receiving inbound invoices from vendors and getting them paid as easy as possible. And we do it within 4 steps, right? We have OCR, which we've actually now introduced AI into that. So as vendors are sending bills in to your organization, Bill will monitor email addresses, grab that PDF, capture data off of the document, try to code those bills as best we can, give them in a really nice way to an individual within the organization to review that, route it for approval automatically, and then with one of the largest ACH networks in the country, make it really easy to pay those vendors in a safe and secure manner without having to cut manual checks in-house. There are a lot of ways in which we could pay now, right? ACH is definitely one of the ways we make it really simple because we have a large vendor network for vendors to easily connect with you and enter their bank information in without having to share it. But we also can pay via virtual cards, international wires. We mail out checks for you if you need to. And then we're going to make you really efficient on the reconciliation. Something that we've introduced, if you looked at Bill years ago, right? If you looked at Bill years ago, there are new things within the platform. We've just introduced our purchase requisition procurement module within Bill. We've added more functionality around multi-entity to where you can manage bills and payments across, maybe if you manage multiple LLCs or organizations. That's a totally new product that's been asked about for a while. We're really excited about that in regards to our multi-entity, as well as introducing AI into that data capture of the bills. So if you looked at us, a few years ago and you were missing maybe some of those pieces, those are now on the platform and some new features that we're excited about. All right. One thing too, I'm going to pass it back to Rayla here and the Finaloop team. If you're interested in taking a look about how Bill and Finaloop connect, within this demo, we're offering a $100 Visa card. You can email this partnerinfo at hq.bill.com and we'll get you set up for a demo. You can also reach out to the Finaloop team, reach out to me. We're all on LinkedIn, so we can make sure you get that $100 Visa gift card, but just an offer for joining this webinar. So I'm actually going to stop sharing here and pass it to Rayla and let her take over, and we'll go from there.
Okay, great. Let me connect mine.
Perfect.
All right. So I guess I'm going to get started. I'm not going to give you guys the full, demo of Finaloop itself because I think you're all here for a very specific reason and everyone's time is precious and limited. So we're going to really be focusing on the integration between like that Finaloop has with Bill.com, how the connection works. It's a super easy connection, so I'll walk you through that. And then what it actually does for you in your financials. So again, this is for those of you who are not familiar with Finaloop, this is what the inside of our platform looks like. We're looking at one very specific page, but you can see there are lots of different options. Anything you need for available in your financials, in your accounting software, you have it all here as well. Now, basically, assuming that you're, all on board and set up with Finaloop and you have your account, and now you want to add a Bill.com integration, we'll take it from there. So, now unpause and let's go forward with the story. So when you click on your settings page and then your integrations tab here, you'll see all of your current integrations, and you can just scroll down here to Bill. And now here I'm going to actually now move away from Finaloop for a second and show you what it actually looks like to get that information you need from Bill.com, because part of this connection requires a sync token. So on the in Bill, you basically just click on the tokens here. You can see that. And then you want to create a new one. So you put in Finaloop as the token name. You click save. Here you'll be given your password. It's all blurred out for purposes of this, for privacy purposes, but you essentially just add that here. So this is our demo account name. and you connect. Now, it takes a couple of minutes for it to start syncing all of your information from bill.com. But after that syncing is done, this is what you'll have in your bill page in Finaloop. So in Finaloop, in the bill page, you'll have all of the bill information that we synced from bill.com. You'll see the status, you'll see the amounts, the open balance, the dates, and the categories. And the first thing that's going to be required when you first get in is going to be mapping the categories. And the reason is because obviously the names of the accounts and the categories that you might be using in bill.com are different than the way that Finaloop maps that out for your financials. So we have a chart of accounts that has over 700 different potential accounts that are based on e-commerce best practices. But with bill.com, obviously names could be different. So one example is if you have a bill where you add a category as fun times, but it needs to be mapped out to the entertainment category in Finaloop, you're going to need to do that initial mapping when you first get in. It's a one-time mapping. Once you do it once, that will create that rule there. But it is something you have to set up right when you get started. So I'm just going to take you to the categories mapping page. Here again, you can see all the different categories from bill.com, and you just have to map it to the category in Finaloop. So I'll just show you guys how to do that quickly. You just click on it. From the drop down, you'll see all the different accounts that you have within Finaloop. So you click on the relevant account, and now we know that all of that specific category in bill.com will then be synced to that category in your Finaloop financials. And when you're done with that, you can head up here and go back to the bill page. And again, this is only a one-time thing that you have to do every time you add a new category. So typically, because categories are not added very often, it's usually just done right when you connect. And then after that, there's not much to do going forward. Everything else will be done automatically. We're going to just head into one of these bills so you can actually see what the data looks like and what we have there. So again, you'll be creating the bill itself in bill.com. So you'll have all the information there. And when you create that in bill.com, we're going to then sync all of that data directly into your financials so that way everything is in one place. When it's in your financials in Finaloop, it's not just the bill. It's also then speaking to the transactions, which I'll show you in a minute, and the actual bank payments. It's also then speaking to your balance sheet, and your payable section is speaking to your P&L in terms of the category and the expense. So you really have everything in one place. So through this information, you can see that there's a way for you to actually click back and view it in bill.com if you want to look at the source. If you then make changes in bill.com, we'll also sync those changes. So you won't have to make any, go in and manually change it. As long as you make the changes in bill.com, we're constantly speaking to each other and it syncs automatically. So we have all that data. But the part here that I really want to focus on is this part, the payment part, because I want to show you how that works. So in this example, when you have this bill, this payment was actually it was paid with bill.com. So in bill.com, you actually paid that bill. And now I want to show you how that works in Finaloop. When you pay that bill in bill.com, we automatically sync it and we reconcile it back to your actual bill payment in your bank. So you have this full reconciliation where we're matching everything to the sources of truth. So here again, we have this amount of the 1,148 here, right? So let me show you what it looks like on the transactions page. This is the Finaloop transactions page. We sync with all of your banks and your credit cards and bring in all these transactions. So here in the search, you can just do a search for the amount. And then again, this is just through the example, but you can see this specific payment. It's automatically categorized as transfer to bill.com. It doesn't really mean it's being transferred to bill.com. What it means is it's matching up with the data that we synced from bill.com. So once we track this payment and you have it marked as paid in bill.com, and now it's marked as closed in Finaloop as well. So you can really see the status of all of your bills. Here you can see the actual status of what's paid, what's open, what's past due, and all of that is actually syncing to your financials as well. That is, I think, up until here is really showing you how that bill.com integration works. But I also want to be able to show you guys a little bit about another new feature that we have that we just added specifically related to the bills, which is like hot off the press. It just was released last week. And this is something that also applies to any of the bills that you sync from bill.com. So it's something that really applies across the board to our bills, where, a lot of times you have the bill date, which is based on more of an operational issue where your vendor gave you a specific bill that has a specific date on it. especially if you're an accrual basis company, an accrual basis taxpayer, that date is not necessarily indicative of when it should be in your books for for purposes of your business, for purposes of the accounting. So you can have a bill that's dated on a certain date, but you actually receive those services the month before, and just the bill was received later, and you want to be able to record it. You want to have some control or flexibility as to where it's recorded. This is not something that you need to do. You don't need to, you don't need to move things. We'll sync it automatically in any case. But if you want to have that flexibility and you want to have that control, which in our experience, lots of brands do want to be able to choose the specific dates that bills are recorded. Even though from an operational side, it's, obviously you have the bill date, then you can just click on here and we have this spread over time feature. And what that allows you to do is really choose when you want that bill to be recorded in your books. It could be before your bill date, it could be after, it could be spread over a specific range of dates. So I want to show you how that works as well, because I think this is a fantastic tool that works in conjunction with everything that you have in Bill.com on the operational side in order to have that flexibility on the accounting side as well. So here you can select the date. In this example, I selected May 22nd, which is after the bill date. So you see that the bill date is here, but then you're actually going to recognize this expense later on. Or you can do it, before. If we click on May 7th, and then it's beforehand. So you have that flexibility if you want it to become, a prepayment, a deferred. You have some flexibility there in terms of choosing when it should impact your books. Again, you don't need to do this. You don't need to have an accounting background or anything like that. It's really just a question of if you want to have control of the story, making sure that the numbers are also telling the story of your business when you receive these services, when it actually impacted your business. And then you can also spread it over a period of time. So for example, if we're choosing, over the month of May, you can either have it spread daily. So part of it will be before, part of it will be after, depending on the days. Or you could do it monthly, and then it will just be recorded on the last day of that time period. And you can also do a custom spread, which is really just a mix and match of it all. So you have that flexibility, which is a really just great way to have the control over your books. After you go through that whole process, then here you'll be able to see this little fun icon that says the bill is spread. So then that's the tooltip. So that way you know that one's spread. And again, it's a very cool feature that can apply also with all of the Bill.com bills that we're syncing. So you have that flexibility. That's basically how the integration works. Jay, I don't know if you have anything to add on that part before we go into Q&A.
No, I love that feature. I mean, it's really nice. And from an accrual standpoint, I mean, that gives you total control there. So even if you're creating that bill in Bill.com, when it comes over, you'll have the flexibility to spread it over periods and accounting periods. Love it.
Exactly, exactly. And by the way, for those of you who are not fully aware as to the difference between cash basis versus accrual basis, just to kind of give you that very quick overview, the cash basis is really when it's based on the cash payments, right? So if you're paying it doesn't matter what the bill date is. If you're paying the bill, if the bill date is May 21st, as in this example, but you're paying the bill on June 1st, June 1st is going to be the day it's in your books. It's based on the movement of the cash. An accrual basis is based on the date that it actually impacted your business, that it actually created that benefit for your business, and that's when you would recognize that expense. So, depending on if your business is on an accrual basis or on a cash basis, you may choose to use a feature like this or not, depending on how relevant it is for you. But it's a super helpful feature, so that way you can decide when you want to be able to see those in your books. I think that's it basically in terms of the demo and the walkthrough and showing how the integration works. And I think you guys can all see that having all of those financial operations in one place, in telling the full story of your business, of the financial health of your business. So you have both the accounting side and the financial operations side together is really, really a huge benefit. And it changes your financials from something that people in the past have done just for tax purposes or for, to get a loan from a bank or investors or things like that, to an actual growth engine and a tool that helps you make smarter decisions as a founder. And that's really what we're trying to accomplish. That's our goal, is for you to be able to use your financials to make better decisions.
And something I think too, to add to all that, what's so neat about the integration that we have between the two products, you really get to use the best of both worlds. So within Bill, we make onboarding vendors really easy to be able to connect with them to pay them electronically. We can even help collect W-9s if that's needed, and we can file 1099s. What's great about that is when a new vendor comes into Bill, we'll help you onboard them. We'll tell you information we already know about them. But with this integration, that vendor will automatically be created in Finaloop, right? Without any data exporting, without any data importing. The vendor comes over, the bills come over, the payments come over. All that's included in the integration, not just bills, right? So that's what's really fun about what's been built is that bill is really an extension
Hmm.
of Finaloop, right? You get all of those great features of Finaloop with the best features of vendor onboarding and making payments really easy. So, and that's what we want to be. We want to be an extension of your accounting solution because there's so many great, Finaloop has done such a great job of creating a wonderful product that we just want to highlight that.
No, I agree completely, and I think, you know, I've spoken with lots of brand founders. Obviously, part of my job is getting on calls with lots of people, and in a lot of those calls, you hear about the pains of the fact that I think for a lot of founders, managing the admin side, which is not the reason most of you went into the business of opening an e-commerce
Right.
store or selling online, but the all that admin processes, it's constant juggling. It's juggling your financials, it's juggling your customers, it's juggling your financial operations, it's juggling your inventory and COGS, which is a whole nother headache for another time. But it's really just juggling all of these different aspects, and the idea is to try to streamline that so at least you're still juggling, but you're going to be having less balls in the air at any given time, which is an important one.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, this was great. It was really nice to see the solution. All right. Well, we'll hang on and then we'll end it here in a couple minutes. I really appreciate your all's time.